daily gambling game show that takes betting seriously, but not much else. Get our favorite plays on the totals, sides, props, exotics, and futures to jump on now.
So let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Subject som känner konsulter konsulterina. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben. Let's get it started with Jason and Ben.
Hey. Welcome back to Wanna Bet. We are fired up to be back. Things a little different. We're still in a little bit of scramble mode here. Beltway Ben is back from a wedding out of town that he got back from quite late and then had to go to work at our radio station quite early. I have a gas leak in my house right now, so I am up in the attic, the only place it doesn't smell like gas, and the only place that I could do this. But, of course, we want to do this because we've missed giving out our best plays to you guys and cashing tickets with you guys and building a smart, sharp betting community, which is what we're trying to do here at the only daily sports wagering show that we know of in existence. If you're new to the show, first, second, third down, Ben and I, and sometimes a guest, will have our three favorite plays of the day. The three bets we've made most recently that we feel strongest about from first to third down, money down in the NFL, money down with us. Fourth and long, we look at long shot bets or bets that won't pay you off for a long term, like futures. We'll be looking at a couple of isolated running back props that we've played. And in my case, one I can't wait to play once they populate it. And then overtime, we do some different things as well in overtime. And we're going to play Trender Ben. Beltway Ben and I on this show are on a Nerfy parlay bender. We've hit 3 straight. They've cashed at basically over 10 units combined, and we want to keep that rolling for you guys. So we've got a couple quick hitters, Nerfy parlays to look at in MLB tonight. Beltway Ben, welcome back. It's good to be back here with you. I know by tomorrow we'll have everything looking like it normally does, and our buddy Eric Casilius will join us tomorrow. He's usually with us on Mondays. But how are you? How did you deal with not being able to place bets all weekend, being out of state?
I'm great. I had a very good trip. As you can tell, my voice is a little bit shot, but it was different. I mean, I was still waking up in the morning, looking at stuff and putting stuff in the Discord and doing stuff. But like, I don't know, it's just something different about being at home, being able to. It's just different. And I was watching games, I was doing stuff like that. But again, when I go into the app, I'm hitting Maryland, even though I'm not in Maryland, just to get to the odds and stuff was just, and then there's times like I'm an hour behind. So Sunday, it's like, it was a lot different. But I enjoyed myself, had a good vacation, but I'm very glad to be back.
Yes, it's time to get back in the swing of things with football almost upon us. And again, we'll be here most days at noon, sometimes a little earlier, depending on what else we have going on. But we plan on being here pretty much every day, a lot of weekends included. And as Ben mentioned, we do have a super Discord. You can look right in the link tree on my bio on X, Twitter, or Ben's. And that's got all the information you need to sign up. I've hit my last 5 bets in there and plan on keeping it going. All right, first down, Beltway Ben. What do you have in store?
Yeah, here I got a little same game parlay. It's one of the ones that we talked about. Brandon Nimmo base hit. And Kodai Senga, 5+ strikeouts. I mean, I've talked about these on this show because a lot of times I'll just parlay things if I think we could lose on a hook or something could go down like that. So here we're just going with a -110, same game parlay. Nimmo, 8 for 15 against Tyler Anderson in his career. 259, 319, 426 slash line against left-handed pitching for Nimmo. 263, 329, 478 against righties. So very, very similar numbers against righties and lefties. And he's been in a leadoff spot the past 2 games. He's red hot, has a hit in 4 straight games and 12 of his last 14 coming in. And then you have Senga, who 5+ Ks in 8 of his last 10 starts. And I know he's coming back off the injury. One of those unders was where we saw him strike out 4 in 4 innings, 67 pitches. Have to imagine he'll be back a little bit more coming off of that hamstring strain. And he's striking batters out 25.2% of the time at home compared to 22.5 on the road. The Angels have a 27.6% K rate against right-handed pitching on the road since June 1st, third highest in the MLB. So Nimmo base hit, Senga 5+ strikeouts at -110.
Nimmo is a cause for concern for me. A little tease here. That game will appear in my Nerfy parlay. I'll tell you why I played it, even though, yes, Nimmo has owned Tyler Anderson, and I suspect Nimmo is batting leadoff in that lineup tonight. But maybe the Polar Bear's not in it. We'll get to that game. First down for me. I'm taking the Phillies and an alt first 5 here. I'm laying 1.5 with the Phillies first 5 against the Red Sox to get that juicy plus 118. It's Zach Wheeler on the bump for the Phillies on plenty of rest coming on the other side of the All-Star break. Do I really need to belabor that point? I mean, he's got a 1.91 ERA at home, where the Phillies, where he is 6-1. The league's batting 164 against him, Beltway Ben, at home. We're 100 games into this season. It's a pretty big sample size. Walker Buehler on the mound for the Bo Sox. 63 strikeouts in 71 and 78 and a third innings pitched. He's got an 8.62 ERA, Ben, in his last 7 starts. He has an 8.66 on the road for the season. The league's batting 342 off him on the road for the season. In his last 9 starts, the Red Sox scoring differential through the first 5 innings of those games. So that's 5 innings, 9 games, 45 inning sample size. They've been outscored 40-22 over those 9 games through 5 innings. They have trailed by at least 2 runs through 5 in 5 of those last 9 Buehler starts. Phillies lineup it ebbs and flows. It's not as prolific as I think a lot of us thought it would be. They're dealing with some issues. They're lucky they didn't get swept by the Angels. But Walker Buehler's incredibly hittable. We've seen guys like Schwarber continue to ambush and get early home runs, drive in early runs. Harper's starting to come around. And look, like, it might just be 2-0. You know what I mean? Like, Wheeler's kind of unhittable. So I don't think it's a huge ask for me for the Phillies at home in a time of year where the ball should be flying out there. So I'm going after the plus money there. Second down, Ben.
Yeah, I actually did. I like that. I will be telling that. And I also considered playing their team total. One good thing about Buehler, he's getting paid $21 million for a year. They're not letting him kind of get into a jam and pull him out. When he's getting shelled, they're going to leave him out there to get shelled. So I do like that play a lot. But here I'm going to go with another parlay, and it's the alternate under in the Brewers-Mariners game, 10.5. And it's basically raised money line. When you look at the 2 starters in this Brewers-Mariners game, I just don't see how Woodruff or Kirby, gets exploded. And then you get to the bullpens and how good they've been. I'm very confident in that game going under 10.5, and we're taking it up 4 numbers from what it's regularly at, which is pretty crazy. But the Rays had an ugly finish to the first half, but seemed to figure things out against the Orioles, who we've talked about it on this show. We've talked about it on the radio station. Teams figure out how to start playing better baseball after they play the O's. They're still 1.5 back of Boston. And these are the matchups they're going to have to take care of, quite honestly, right? Boz takes the mound, and he's been solid of late. I know he struggled at home, but I do think he can limit this Chicago lineup. And then you look at Burke, who's been really bad on the road, 5.18 ERA, and the White Sox have 6 losses in his 8 road starts. So I do like the Rays on the money line, parlayed with the alternate under.
Great minds think alike. That game's going to show up in my Nerfy parlay as well. I really like Shane Baz over 5.5 strikeouts in that game. If you're looking for a player prop, if you want to get ambitious and add to that parlay, maybe I am on Baz over 5.5 strikeouts in that game. Second down for me, Beltway Bennett's the summer of soccer. You know it. I know it. France somehow not beating Germany, even though Germany was down to 10 women 14 minutes into that match. That one stung me over the weekend. But we have been crushing European soccer all summer long, whether it's the Gold Cup, whether it's the Women's Euros, whether it was the World Club Cup, whether it's Champions League qualifying. I'll have some plays for that for you later this week. I just like the BTTS in the first semifinal upcoming tomorrow in the Women's Euros. Like 15 of the last 18 matches in this tournament, Beltway Ben, have cashed the BTTS. Like, Italy's allowed a goal in 4 of their last 5. They're solid in the back, but they are getting a little bit more ambitious to try to score multiple goals. There's the BTTS has cashed in 8 of Italy's last 12 matches overall. This is an England team that does have a lot of attacking flair. They've got super subs who can come off the bench and change a match like that. They've been pretty adept at scoring early in games, but they've also conceded in 4 of their last 5. I suspect we get an early goal in this game. I suspect we get a late goal in this game. Do I lean to England? I do. I don't think either of these teams played their best match in the quarterfinals. And I just expect goals. This tournament has been goals. And at the minus 135, I jumped this as soon as that line populated. And it hasn't really moved much yet, but I've been on this since the weekend. Third down, Ben.
Yeah, here I said we're going to get back to that Phillies game, and I'm going to go with Bryce Harper here. I'm going to go with him over his hits, runs, and RBIs. And Jason mentioned it before, but he's really starting to heat up, right? Slashing 300, 417, 550 at home on the season. But since the All-Star break, 5 for 12, 3 home runs for Harper. I also do like him to walk at minus 110. Bueller's been a little wild. We know how good of an eye Harper has, and he walks a lot more at home. So I would also play that at minus 110, but we're going with his hits, runs, RBIs here. Bueller has an 8.66 ERA on the road. And when you look at what lefties are slashing against him, 365, 415, 531 on the road against him. Harper has a home run against Bueller in his career. He's 2 for 3. I just don't know how this Phillies lineup doesn't match him. And to that, I think Harper is going to play a big role in that. So I do like him over 1.5. And this is a fair number at minus 135. I thought it might be in the minus 160s, in the minus 170s. We would have to play 2.5, but getting 1.5 is good for me here. So I like that.
I love it. Hey, Bryce, how about we get that done in our first couple of at-bats? We score 4 or 5 runs in the first 5 innings. We get Bueller, get Bueller out of there. I'm here for all that, Beltway bet. Third down, this is going to be a trend for me until proven otherwise. I'm fading the Washington Nationals. Washington Nationals, for me, in this very moment, probably the 3rd worst team in the majors. If not the 3rd, then the 4th. Give me the Reds on the money line. The Reds are pretty hot. With Austin Hayes back in the middle of that lineup, all of a sudden the Reds producing a little bit more runs. We've seen McLean have some power lately. We know what De La Cruz can do. The Nats catchers suck. The Reds are an athletic team that like to run. They can manufacture runs that way. This Nats team has the worst bullpen in the National League, Ben, and their ace, Mackenzie Gore, gave up a 5 spot in the first inning last night, and the bullpen had to patch it together. Brady Singer quietly has started to pitch fairly well for the Reds. 3.72 ERA in his last 7. And the Nats, it's Jake Irvin. He's been figured out. He's got a 5.73 ERA in his last 7. But the Nats cannot control other teams from running up the score. Beltway Ben, in the last 12 games, the Nats have allowed 6 runs or more in 9 of those 12. Like, they've allowed 8 runs or more in half of their last 12 games. They don't have the kind of offense that can handle that. Oh, and James Wood, who was their aircraft carrier, is in the most prolonged slump of his career. And maybe it's just a narrative, but young hitters who prep for the home run derby like he did, what tends to happen in the second half with them, Ben? Yeah.
Straight down.
Yeah. So, yes, I like the Reds to just win that game. You can get cute with that one if you want to, but they're the far superior team right now, and I think they're making their move. Okay, 4th and long. We've been trying to give you guys our favorite plays going position by position. Hey, NFL camps are open, so we're not that far removed from preseason games. We've done quarterback props. We've done receiver props, and we've given out some running back props as we've broken divisions down. But today, we're looking at a couple of running back plays that we've made or that we can't wait to make involving running backs, and the floor is yours, Beltway Ben.
Yeah, for this one, I just have one. If you want to look at some of the other ones, you can go to our YouTube, youtube.com/wannabetwithus. You can find all of our running back props, wide receiver props, a lot of different stuff there. But we do have a few more today. And I'm just going to go with one here. Ashton Jeanty over 1,050.5 rushing yards. So we need 1,051. Look at first-round picks at running backs over the years, right? You had Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. They both went under, but they finished in the high 900s. Algier and Montgomery led the team in carries for most of the year. So that tells you enough there. I don't think Raheem Mostert is going to be leading this Raiders team in carries. You look before that, 2021, Najee Harris and Travis Etienne both went over. And Jonte is not the ETN back, the speed, and he has speed, but he's not the speed back. He's more of the heavy back, and he's going to bounce off of tackles and do what he did in college. Again, the NFL, much better tackling, but at the same time, this dude is built pretty different. They didn't draft him 6th overall to watch Raheem Mostert get his carries. And even if they do let Mostert get some carries, we know how quickly he'll be on the sideline in street clothes because that's just how it always goes with him and how it has through his career. He led the nation in rushing attempts and yards. He's got great balance, bounces off defenders, like I said, and has great speed. If you want to look at a comp, like Carroll could hope he's going to be like Marshawn Lynch, who he coached for a bunch of years in Seattle.
You read
but
my
if you look at that rookie year in Buffalo, 13 games, and he went over this total. Like, that's exactly what you can expect from him, but I think he's going to play more. He played through an elbow injury in college. He's a tough guy. So to me, with the way Carroll's going to use him and how this team will, he's going to get a ton of carries. And I don't know the outlook on his long-term career, right? Yeah. He's a physical back. He's going to get hit a lot. We don't have to worry about that here. Right now, we're just worrying about him getting 1,051 in his first year. So I really do like him to go over that.
Yeah, I love that play. Look, when you're making these futures plays, what you're really doing is you're betting on the organization. Like, you're betting on that head coach and his profile and what he believes in. And that's Pete Carroll in year one, trying to change the culture with a Raiders team that's been kind of like a country club and a little bit soft for way too long. It's a decent offensive line. It's a battering ram running back. I wouldn't be surprised if this kid goes over 1,500 yards. The volume's going to be there. Pete Carroll is going to use him as the embodiment of what a Pete Carroll offense looks like. And a Pete Carroll offense is an extension of the defense. And this kid, he saw Geno throwing the ball too much last year in Seattle with him gone. Look, he took Kenneth Walker where he took him, hoping that guy would be a battering ram for him. And the Marshawn Lynch comp is the exact one. He had it there, and it made his Legion of Doom that much better on the other side of the ball. This kid, I think, is going to have the ball in his hands all the time, and I love that play. But wait, Ben, as I've mentioned, as we've done these division breakdowns and we've done some individual stuff on quarterbacks, I think the Jets are going to be more competent than they're given credit for, and the Jets' running game is going to be robust. And I love Breece Hall over 900.5 yards here. You got to look at the coach now, right? It's Aaron Glenn in year one, first time as a head coach, a defensive-minded guy who has some interesting pieces on defense. He does not want Justin Fields going out there effing it up for everybody else. Like, the run game, you now have to defend the quarterback all the time in the run game with Justin Fields. Last year with Aaron Rodgers and coaches getting fired and a joke-ass offensive staff, like, this kid coming off injury still had 876, by the way, Ben, and that was just on 209 carries. Like, now with him and Fields back there messing around with the mesh point, the explosive runs are going to be up. Like, he had 994 the last year he played with Zach Wilson, and you didn't have to respect the pass game at all. I think you're going to see more dynamic plays. You're going to see more volume. There's going to be more explosiveness. Like, this kid's running for his life. He wants to get paid. He's seeing everybody else. The Jets are paying everybody else, right? I got to be that guy on offense. I think Aaron Glenn will fall in love with him. And Aaron Glenn is coming from a place in Detroit where they had two running backs who could go over 1,000 yards with ease, right? And Jahmyr Gibbs could do it, and he didn't touch the ball as much as he should have. Like, I think he goes over 1,200 yards. In alt markets, I would not fear playing this 1,200 and above. And one other prop that is not out there yet, but just for philosophical reasons, look for it and jump on it because it won't be that high. Jaylen Warren over receptions and Jaylen Warren over receiving yards. Aaron Rodgers, you can track not just last year coming off the Achilles. His last 3 years, the highest percentages of passes between 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage and 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. He believes in that. The check down is his best friend. And this kid, without Najee Harris getting in the way, so, they're always behind the sticks, him as sort of a neutral, 2nd and 5 back, right? Him in neutral situations, which he didn't get in enough of them in the past because the quarterback play wasn't good enough and because Najee Harris was going for 2 yards on first down. I just think Jaylen Warren is going to be explosive in the horizontal pass game. And I think it's something that Aaron Rodgers is going to lean into. And having those two huge tight ends now and Warren back there, like throwing to Warren, handing it off to Warren, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to love that. They're going to spread people out. And they're probably going to put this around 450 yards or something like that. And I think there's going to be multiple games this year where Jaylen Warren has over 100 yards receiving. So just keep an eye on that. Those markets, I'd say in the next couple of weeks for sure, should be fully populated. And that's a long-term future play on 4th and long that I can't wait to make. All right, Beltway Ben. Overtime. Look, I didn't know that this was going to be a trend for us. We didn't do a whole lot in the nerfy markets until the last couple of weeks. And then you popped one right away. I popped a couple big ones. I continue to pop a few on the Discord. Again, go to the Twitter. You can find the link tree. Did have them. I didn't hit yesterday. My official streak is over. Our wanna-bet streak, though, is still alive. We've teased some games we're already on. Where are you going in today's nerfy parlay?
Well, first we'll talk about, back to what we had before. The Mariners and Brewers game. I do like the nerfy there. But you had this one here. I looked at that, considered it, but I did add the Brewers and Mariners into mine. Not going with just that one, though. I don't really have a great feel for a lot of nerfies today.
Yeah.
But the only other one that I did like, and it was kind of unfortunate because you could only get it at plus 110, was the Tigers and Pirates. But the issue with that one is every single person in America will be lining up to place that nerfy in. But again, Skeens has not given up a run in the first inning.
Yes.
And Jack Flaherty's been pretty good, and the Pirates have not been good against right-handed hitters. So that one is
You're
plus
paying
110.
2-1 for that. You're paying 2-1 for that.
Right. So I'll take it how I got it. But yeah, so it's going to be, I know this one is Jason's graphic, but it's Brewers, Mariners, and then it's Pirates, Tigers.
Yes, and I thought about that, and I thought about making this a 3-leg and putting that with these other two. Brewers, Mariners, look, Brewers are one of the best scoring teams on the road in baseball, but Seattle's ballpark ain't your average ballpark. And despite what the Brewers have been doing, putting up runs on the Dodgers left and right, and they were hot before the break, they've only scored in one of their last 10 first innings. Seattle has gone 10 straight first innings without scoring. Seattle's offense, when it does get going, gets going later in games. Seattle's scuffling again. Seattle's 20th in the majors against right-handed pitching at home in terms of OPS in the first inning. And Brandon Woodruff has looked like an ace since he came back from a long absence. On the flip side, if you just look at Kirby's first inning numbers for the year, they don't look great. At home, he's got a 1.80 ERA in the first inning. He's got a 30% strikeout rate in the first inning at home. So, yes, I thought for where that was priced, that had to be in here because there's a lot of strong nerfy trends, but it's not like it was, minus 185 or minus 200. And then I am taking a risk with the Angels Mets. Look, on the Mets side, Senga's been great. Senga's been great in the first inning. He usually starts out locked in. And the Noah Shanuel looks like he's hurt again. So that's a big on-base guy at the top of the Angels lineup who's probably not there. Tyler Anderson scares me a little bit. You know what? But so does Jack Flaherty. Even in that Tigers game, Jack Flaherty scares me a little bit, him giving up an early long ball. So here's why I went with the Angels here. Anderson, if you look at his numbers in the first inning, they are not great. And as Beltway Ben said, Nimmo owns him. Okay, so Nimmo's batting 500 off of him. If he gets Nimmo out to start this game, though, Pete Alonso came in as a defensive replacement yesterday to keep his streak going, right? His games played streak. That's a power right-handed bat against a lefty that I'm betting is not in the start of that lineup, right? He got hit in the hand. I think you're going to be careful with that. Maybe he comes in as defensive replacement again late. How has Juan Soto done from the left side against Tyler Anderson? He's 2 for 18 in his career with no power numbers. How has Lindor done against him? 1 for 12 in his career with no power numbers. So, look, to get that plus 200, there has to be risk involved. And the risk really is, will Tyler Anderson, who gives up runs in the first inning, can he get me 3 outs before he does this? But ultimately, that's the one I played. That's the one I went with. That's the one I'm rooting for. And that's the one I hope we all cash together. And if we do, that would be 4 straight nerfy parlays on this show. So you've got mine. You've got Ben's, which is Brewers, Mariners, plus Tigers, Pirates. And yeah, you want to play any of those on their own? We totally get it. that is a Monday edition of Wanna Bet. Tomorrow we will have our buddy Eric Casillas back with us. And we're fired up. There's a lot we want to get to this week. More women's Euros, WNBA. I'm getting a little hot in the CFL. We're going to look at the CFL games this week. We've got Champions League qualifiers. There's a couple matches I really like there. One of those plays I'll give you tomorrow. Those games are on Tuesday. And MLB back is in full force. So we're fired up to be back. We know you want to bet. We know you want to bet with us. Oh, yeah, and we'll have the bet slip going tomorrow. We're a little behind graphically. We will get you up to date on how we've done since our last show last week and how we've done for the year on this show. We'll have all that for you tomorrow with EK. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow on Wanna Bet.